The ticket price. This does not shock me at all. What did I say earlier? The WNBA was about to F around and find out, and these rival teams were going to be in a lot of trouble. Well, they're fine.
The stadium lights dimmed, the crowd's roar reached a deafening crescendo, and the WNBA felt as though it were finally soaring beyond the clouds. For years, the league had battled for mainstream attention, for packed arenas, for a truly seismic cultural shift. Then, almost overnight, it seemed to explode into the national consciousness. Record viewership figures flashed across screens, sold-out signs adorned ticket booths, and an undeniable, vibrant buzz echoed from sports bars to social media feeds across the globe. It was a moment of triumph, a testament to the growing interest in women's basketball, but then came a quiet announcement, a seemingly minor setback, just a few weeks on the sidelines for one player. Yet that single, seemingly innocuous piece of news triggered an unprecedented financial shockwave that ripped through the entire league, exposing a foundation so perilously fragile it made seasoned sports executives gasp. Was the WNBA's recent explosive rise a testament to widespread, sustainable growth? Or was it merely an illusion, a magnificent edifice built upon the singular, magnetic talent of one undeniable superstar? The answer, revealed in a sudden, brutal collapse of market demand, might just dictate the league's very survival, forcing an uncomfortable reckoning with a reality few dared to acknowledge.
Caitlin Clark effect has been a net positive for the WNBA and all of its teams, but the star guard expected to miss a minimum of 2 weeks. The league will see the flip side of her impact, and there are already initial data points. This is front office sports, no conspiracies, no BS from them. Statistical data.
Before whispers of her absence began, the WNBA was riding an almost unbelievable wave of momentum. Every single Indiana Fever game had transformed into a white-hot ticket, a coveted commodity that fans eagerly snapped up, often paying prices upward of $80 for entry, with prime seats commanding far more. The hype was palpable, an almost electric force, igniting a frenzy that led rival teams and savvy venue operators to embark on massive, high-stakes gambles. Consider the audacious move by the Chicago Sky. For instance, they made a bold, unprecedented decision, shifting their highly anticipated matchup against the Fever from their usual 2,400-seat home at Wintrust Arena to the sprawling, cavernous 21,000-seat United Center, an arena typically reserved for NBA giants and global music icons. This wasn't a minor logistical adjustment. It was a colossal wager, a clear, unequivocal declaration that one player and one player alone possessed the star power, the undeniable drawing capability, to fill a venue of that staggering scale. The league, and many within its ecosystem, were banking on her unparalleled ability to move the masses.
To hit the panic button 48 hours after news hits that Caitlin Clark is injured and she'll be missing 2 weeks, the market has responded and the market has told the WNBA, we don't want this. We want her, but we don't.
Then the news hit. The whisper became a roar, the magnetic force that had drawn tens of thousands. The player who had commanded prices previously unthinkable in the league was sidelined. And as soon as word of her absence filtered through the market, everything flipped. The response was not gradual. It was immediate, visceral, and devastatingly clear. The market, in its brutal honesty, delivered a chilling collective silence that screamed an unmistakable message. We don't want this WNBA. We want her. Without her, the product just isn't the same. The ensuing financial freefall was not just dramatic, it was cataclysmic. That very same Chicago Sky versus Fever showdown at the United Center, once priced at a premium, saw its cheapest entry tickets plummet from $86 to a paltry $25 in a single, gut-wrenching overnight crash. That's an astonishing, almost unbelievable 71% drop in value, a dizzying descent from anticipated glory to the brink of financial disaster for that event. And this wasn't an isolated incident, a mere blip on the radar. The same devastating story played out when the Fever faced the Mystics on the road.
This guy can't sell out their own 9,000-something seat arena like it is. They couldn't when they were kind of decent. They're a dumpster fire now. And now that Caitlin Clark is injured, the ticket prices for the Fever and Sky game just plummeted to Hades.
What was once a sought-after ticket commanding $41 withered to a mere $22, a brutal 47% collapse that left spectators and presumably team executives reeling. Even across a broader view of 5 key Fever games over a 2-year span, the trend was undeniable. The average ticket price, which had soared to an impressive $137, fell sharply to just $80 after the injury announcement. That's a staggering 42% plunge in only a couple of weeks, underscoring the severity of the market's response.
They stink now. Yeah, it's about me too. No, it's not. And this is...
They stink now. Yeah, it's about me too. No, it's not. And yet, this was the proof. These weren't minor fluctuations, not slight dips in consumer interest. They were thunderous, unmistakable declarations from the fans. No Clark, no sale. Demand for tickets was directly, inextricably tied to her physical presence on the court. When she wasn't there, the energy seemed to drain from the building. There was a palpable sensation, as if the air had gone out of the room before tip-off, leaving a chilling void where excitement once vibrated. That dramatic shift underscored a stark, unsettling truth. The league's much-celebrated explosion in popularity, the widespread enthusiasm broadcast as proof of broad, sustained growth, was, in reality, dangerously concentrated around one singular, irreplaceable talent.
The games over the next 2 weeks have dropped 42% since Caitlin Clark's injury announcement, an average ticket price of $137, all the way down to $80.
This wasn't simply the unfortunate inconvenience of a star player being sidelined. It was a brutal, unforgiving exposé of the WNBA's systemic vulnerabilities. The numbers, cold and unyielding, offered statistical validation for what many had long suspected and what some had only whispered behind closed doors. Caitlin Clark wasn't just a player. She was the singular force driving the entire enterprise. The bus, it seemed, relied almost entirely on her for propulsion, with everyone else along for the ride, hoping to benefit from her reflected light. The league's recent surge in popularity, packed arenas, a social media wildfire, and spiking ticket prices had been heralded as the dawn of a sustainable new era. Instead, this moment exposed an inconvenient question: how much of that momentum hinged on one extraordinary individual? It became glaringly apparent that the Women's National Basketball Association lacked a deep bench of equally marketable stars, no broad array of captivating personalities capable of sustaining feverish demand when the primary draw was absent.
People are selling their tickets, definitely can't get face value, so what do? They just continue to lower and lower and lower and lower and lower the price. This isn't all resellers, folks. Hate to break it to you. A majority of these are everyday normal people. A majority of these are everyday normal people who watch Caitlin Clark in Iowa, watch her in her first year in Indiana, said, man, I want to watch that. I want to go to those games. I want to experience that. They won't be able to experience it.
This forced a brutal reality check, one that was impossible to ignore. If her short absence could trigger such a devastating, widespread collapse in demand, what did that say about the fundamental strength of the league's foundation? It raised profound, unsettling questions about its long-term viability and its capacity to withstand the inevitable challenges that arise in professional sports. The problem wasn't limited to individual games. It extended to the league's entire economic ecosystem. Even the marquee matchups, the highly anticipated rivalries positioned as symbols of growth and surging popularity, felt the impact. Consider the Chicago Sky versus the Indiana Fever, once hailed as the embodiment of the league's new wave of excitement. In her absence, much of that intrinsic value evaporated. The grand vision of packed houses and electric atmospheres for these showcase events dissolved into the haunting image of thousands of empty seats, a stark reminder of a gamble gone wrong. The league's reliance on Clark's singular drawing power was exposed in real time, not only through ticket metrics but through a chilling absence of energy, a perceptible drop in atmosphere that even the most casual observer could sense. This wasn't a routine star injury narrative where fans grumble, yet still show up out of loyalty or habit. The numbers signaled something far more alarming. Her absence constituted a full-blown crisis, threatening to stall the league's climb toward mainstream acceptance. When growth is concentrated around one player, the rising tide lifts all boats philosophy falters. Without her, that tide receded, and many teams were left struggling to stay afloat.
I mean, it's more statistical proof, data, to confirm exactly what we've been saying, that Caitlin Clark is driving this whole ship, this whole bus. She's driving it. Everybody else, get in the back. Get in the back.
With Caitlin Clark suddenly sidelined, an intense, and at times unforgiving, spotlight swung directly onto Angel Reese. For many observers, she appeared the obvious choice to step forward and shoulder the burden of public interest. Reese possessed undeniable charisma, a distinctive, trend-setting style, and a powerful off-court brand that resonated deeply with a devoted segment of fans. She was omnipresent in media conversations, confident, outspoken, and never hesitant to highlight her own impact. She had even boldly claimed that fans tuned in specifically for her, a statement reinforcing her belief in her status as a standalone draw. The league, eager for another central figure to sustain its surge in popularity, watched closely, almost anxiously, to see whether her formidable personal brand and celebrity presence could translate into the same widespread ticket sales, ratings momentum, and mainstream buzz that Clark had generated.
Marquee matchup in the WNBA. Like it or love it, rivalry or not, Chicago Sky, Indiana Fever, Angel Reese, Caitlin Clark, that is the marquee matchup in the WNBA, and those tickets are crashing just as well. From $86 48 hours ago to $25. And by the time June 7th rolls around, it might cost you a bag of Skittles and some Lay's potato chips to get in there.
But this is where the numbers began telling a very different and far more uncomfortable story, one that sharply contrasted with the prevailing media hype. With Caitlin Clark no longer on the floor, the pressure shifted squarely onto Angel Reese to prove she could command the same level of market excitement. The expectations were clear. If she was truly a co-headliner, the draw should remain strong. So far, however, the market's response has been delivered with blunt precision. Not quite. Take, once again, the Chicago Sky versus Indiana Fever matchup at the United Center, an event carefully positioned as a grand showcase for the Reese-Clark rivalry. The ambition was bold: fill an NBA arena and cement the league's rise. Yet the plan unraveled the moment Clark was ruled out. Ticket demand plummeted. Excitement fizzled. The massive arena suddenly felt cavernous, far too large for the moment it was meant to define. And this wasn't merely about pricing in one isolated game. The price drops and the visible dip in enthusiasm began to ripple outward, hinting at a deeper trend. Even other high-profile matchups, such as the Mystics versus Fever game in Baltimore, saw ticket prices slide sharply despite Reese being a central, heavily publicized figure. What had once been a $41 ticket dropped to $22, a 47% collapse that signaled a very different level of fan engagement compared to Clark-led contests. Even in cities where Reese's name was prominently featured, where her presence should have driven interest, the hype simply did not convert into the same kind of frenzied demand or market